Hi, today we're going to present on how to administer a school-wide write-on. And today it's me, Brandy Clark, and Aaron Hart. And you will notice there's a bit.ly on the first slide, and that will take you to all of the resources today. Okay, this is our goals for today's session. We're going to introduce you to the timeline for the write-ons. We're going to show you how to administer and talk about how to administer a school-wide write-on. We're then going to talk about the power and importance of collaborative marking. We're going to get into our division rubrics and exemplars that will support you with the collaborative marking, and then how we report our student narratives in Power Teacher Pro. And again, all information is at that link. Okay, so between now and September 26th, our students in grades 2 to 6 will write a narrative story using a picture prompt. And of course, the data will be entered in Power Teacher Pro on October 6th. We suggest that after the initial write-on that collaborative marking is very powerful and useful tool, and we'll get into that further later on. From January 16th to February 6th, that's when our kindergarten and grade 1 students will write their narrative story using a picture prompt. At this time, it is option only if the grades 2 to 6s will write also. Data for the kindergarten and grade 1 students will be due on February 10th. On May 17th, we encourage all students to write on the same day. Students in K to 5 will complete a final write-on, and students in grade 6 will complete the first part of the PAT on writing. And that data will be due on June 5th. So why a school-wide write-on? Well, it is tied to our assurance plan, and our assurance plan is found on SharePoint. It makes obvious the progression of skills, so we can see how students are doing across grade levels across the school. It shows us that some of it where our students may have challenges and where they have strengths, and how we need to improve with our instruction, and also how we can better support ourselves at the school site. And of course, it provides authentic assessment and evidence for reporting, and ensures more consistency between teachers in the same grade across the schools and even across the division. So the first step would be to choose a picture prompt. On SharePoint, we have a list of about 4 sites that you can find that will help support. And Aaron's just going to click on that and show us here. So if you scroll to the very bottom, you will see there's 4 different sites, and you can choose one of those to pick from, or alternatively, you could choose a picture book, a picture from a picture book, or even a picture from a wordless picture book. Those tend to be very powerful because they are created without words and tend to have a lot of inferencing, a lot of connections that can be made with them. And of course, we also have instruction pages on how to administer a write-on for each grade level, and we have those also at the link. Now, a good picture prompt really should have some mystery. So there should be something in the picture that causes you to have some questions. Can you see a problem in the picture, something that might be of concern or something that needs to be solved? Always include some obvious details, things that kids can right away have something to write about. Like we can see they can write about a car in the first picture, they can write about a cat in the other picture, and those kinds of things that give them things to start with, to start their thinking. And really, we want pictures that encourage the imagination.
So collaborative marking, now you've provided that write-on experience for your students. They've written narratives based on those prompts. What do we do next? So I love this quote. The most valuable resources that all teachers have is each other. So without collaboration, our growth is limited to our own perspectives. So that collaborative marking experience is so powerful because you have other perspectives maybe on the same narrative. Or sometimes you'll get to a section of the narrative, like maybe it's ideas, or maybe it's voice. Does the student's story have voice? And you're talking it through with a colleague and they have a different insight than you as you're working through that narrative marking together. So we really, really encourage you to take the time to collaboratively mark some of your narratives, okay, because it's so powerful. We know that some of you are at schools that don't have grade level partners, so we've decided to run an optional collaborative marking session where we'll just take you through just some tips and tricks to that, to collaboratively mark your narratives. And we're going to do that the afternoon of September 29th. And we are hoping to do that at Lumen Christi, but we're just still trying to find a space to do it in, and we will let you know and put it on events as soon as we have that. marking should be completed, as Brandy said, by October 6th, and then you can have that assignment and comment added to PowerTeacher Pro, which we're going to help you with. So the power of a rubric. So as you collaboratively mark, of course, you have our division rubrics that you are going to use, and they really do help with laying out that really specific and clear criteria. Okay, for you, but also for students. It allows you to see where your students' strengths are and where their areas of growth are. And Brandy referred to that already, but then it also allows you to give really specific feedback to your students. So if it was something connected to their sentence fluency and you have that rubric in front of you, then you can absolutely comment to those particular points. Or if it's more, you know what, the organization, there were some great ideas in there, but the organization wasn't really great. Sometimes our students can't land the plane and end the story. You could give that specific feedback to your students. But having that really good rubric kind of provides that for you, helps lay out that criteria. And so if you want to use this, it can also be a great instructional tool for you to use with students, but not in its entirety. You would absolutely break it down into just one single column, focus on one skill at a time. So maybe that is voice, maybe that's word choice, and you could just share that single column of criteria and what the kids make it proficient. I like single point rubrics for this because you can just take that proficient column and have that as your criteria. And then students know exactly what they need to have in place to have a proficient story, okay? And it really does ensure consistency between teachers when we use a common rubric this way. So here they are. And so they're linked here for you on that same site that I went into before to show you the picture prompts. All of the write-on tools are there, including the division rubrics. So there's one for each grade, and you'll see them. They're aligned with our program of studies. They follow the levels of achievement that we currently have on PowerTeacher Pro. And then you can see the beautiful progression from kinder all the way up to grade 6. So it is really like a beautiful narrative continuum. We also created some exemplars. Well, we didn't create, the students did, and we mark these as a collaborative team. And we have them from K to 6. And we've grouped them into the standards that are our levels of achievement. So beginning, acceptable, proficient, and standard of excellence. They're all sorted there for you. You just have to click on your grade and you can see them. We want you to use these as you collaboratively mark so that you've got some examples right there for you, some good exemplars to look at. And they really do reflect the standard across those 6 categories. Now, it's good to keep in mind that we would hope that when we're marking, that students would fall into one reporting category. So they would be, let's say proficient across the way, or all beginning across their whole story. But we know realistically, if you look at this other picture, when we're reading a narrative, kids might score low in conventions, but really good with ideas and organization of their stories. So we know our rubric more realistically is going to be all over those reporting categories. That's okay. I think that's just going to help you with your instruction and plan. So if you notice, yeah, okay, I really do need to work on sentence fluency with my students as a whole, or with this group of students, then by marking them this way, you can really hone in on what students need from you. And then when you go to attach a level of achievement, which you won't do until the end of the year, you still will have kids that are in different reporting categories within their narratives, but that's okay. I would just sort of say predominantly where do they fall for the most part and make that your level of achievement. So for reporting, we've created those write-on assignments to help you get started and create something in PowerTeacher Pro because we got this request so much last year. So you're going to create one assignment with your first write-on. So for grades 2 through 6, that's right away. And you're going to call it narrative writing using picture prompts. For our K and 1 teachers, you're not going to do this process until January, the end of January, beginning of February. And then for each of that, you're going to make that assignment ongoing, and you're going to make a comment around what you've done and what the students need to work on, and maybe what their strengths were. We've got some examples of course, we have the learning outcome there that apply, the learning outcomes, and we also have some comment examples. So if you click on this image or you go to that SharePoint site on write-ons, if you scroll down, you'll see all of our reporting suggestions there for you that you can easily use. Okay, so to wrap it up in this quick little session on how to do those write-ons, you're going to, grades 2 through 6 teachers are going to assign that student narrative using that picture prompt and those instruction sheets. Okay, if you need to tweak those a little bit, that's totally fine. Those are also on that Write-On SharePoint site that we've linked many, many times in this session. And then again, K-1, you don't write or you don't do this with your students until January 16th to February 6th. Okay. Students who require writing accommodations, as outlined in their IPP, are still able to use those for this experience too. And then with your ELL students, just use your professional judgment. Some ELL students can absolutely prepare a narrative. Okay, it might not look the way your other students' stories write, but it might, and they might draw it out any way they can kind of build a story around that picture prompt is okay. And then you're going to collaboratively mark with your grade level colleagues those narratives by October 6th, using those division rubrics and exemplars that we've shared with you. And then in PowerTeacher Pro, you can add an assignment and comment, okay, and use those write-on assignments to help you. And then if you are on your own at your school, you're the only grade 3 teacher, and you want to come to our collaborative marking session, we're going to run that, as I said before, on September 29th in the afternoon. All the ELA consultants will be here. And again, we're just ironing down the exact room we can get, but we're hoping that it's here at Lumen Christi from 1:15 to 3:30. But again, it'll be on events probably within 2 days, and we'll get that to you. And then teachers can attend the narrative writing PD that we're going to offer this year. So now you've done these write-ons. How do you teach narrative to the students so that when you do this again, you can see some good progress? So we're going to offer those sessions in October and November. And so keep an eye on the swag for those details. So thank you so much for joining us today. If you have any questions, please reach out to your ELA consultant, and we are happy to help you guys. So thank you again so much for joining us today.